This is the second part of the SDV Hackathon 2024 Maestro Challenge walkthrough. In this part of the walkthrough, I assume you've already installed Symfony on your Kubernetes cluster, and you've already set up your Mosquito's MQTT broker. And if you're using Minikube, you've already got port forwarding configured. And you've also deployed all the truck templates as well as the truck docking workflow. And you've activated the workflow at least for the box truck target. And that's what we are going to use in this walkthrough. So now we have the target registered with Symfony. We are ready to deploy applications to it. And the way to describe an application in Symfony is to use the solution object. Also, the solution object is a multi-version object, so you need to put that into a solution container, which can contain multiple solution versions. So in this case, my solution has one version, the version 1. And in your solution definition, basically you list out the components the solutions contains. In this case, my solution contains one component called local cache, and it's a container type, and it has a property of the Docker image I want to use. So this is a really simplistic solution I want to use. And my intention is to deploy this Docker container to my target. So that's the solution definition. When you define the solution definition with Symfony, nothing happens. You just have a solution definition in the system. To actually deploy that solution, you need to create another object called instance. So the instance object basically takes a solution, in this case our box solution, and it deploys to one or more target. The easiest way is to deploy to a single target. This is what I'm doing here. Basically, I just gave it a target name. But for more complex scenarios, you can use a target selector to select multiple targets. And here I'm also including a reconciliation policy to reduce the interval to 1 minute so that Symfony will keep updating the system if there are changes at a 1 minute interval. By default, this interval is much longer because in the production system, probably you don't want to apply updates every minute. But for the demonstration purpose, we're reducing that interval to 1 minute. So that's our solution and solution instance. And we are going to use a remote client to represent our box truck. And we are providing this sample configuration that you can use. Remember in the last walkthrough, I mentioned you can use the Maestro tool to generate this configuration file. But in this case, we've pre-built the configuration for you. And in the last walkthrough, I also misspoke about something, where is that the list of providers, they are actually not keyed by target names, as I stated. Instead, it's keyed by component roles, component types. Basically, this configuration is saying if I see an instance type of component, I will use this Docker provider. The reason for this is that you may want to deploy multiple types of different components into the same target. And if you only use the target as the key, that means your target can only manage one type of payload, which is less desirable. So this is actually keyed by component types. And you can see this type key is instance. And if I look at my solution, the component type is actually container. So in Symfony, if the type is container, it will be treated as the instance type. You can say instance as well. They will be equivalent. You can use either instance or container. It's the same thing. Okay. So now let's go back to the system. And the first thing I want to do is to launch the Symfony agent using the configuration file I just showed you. So basically, after you install Maestro, Maestro will copy a Symfony-API to your home.symfony folder. This is the process you can use as an agent. Basically, you just use -c to give it the agent configuration file. That's the configuration file I just showed you. Then you can use the ldebug flag to show the debug information. So I'm just going to launch this. And now the agent is running. Let me create the solution as well as the instance. So to create the solution, I'll just do kubectl apply equals Symfony solution box. I think it's called box solution. Right. This creates the solution definition. Remember, when you create a solution, nothing happens. You just have this in the database. If you do kubectl get solution, you can see the solution is defined here. And nothing happens. Actually, let's try to do this. This wouldn't. Okay. So if I do a docker ps, you can see currently I have 2 containers running. One is the Minikube container. The other is the build container. I don't have a Redis container deployed. So now I'm ready to apply the instance. So when I deploy this instance, Symfony will start this deployment and state seeking, and it will make sure your system is configured in the desired state as specified in the solution. So once I do this, soon enough, you will see you will do docker ps again. You will see this Redis container that launched a few seconds ago, right? So this is how you can deploy a solution to a target with Symfony. And this state seeking process is continuous, right? For instance, if someone go to the machine and say docker rmf to forcibly remove this Docker container, so now the container is gone. After that configured 1 minute interval, Symfony will try to bring it back. Actually, if you look at kubectl get instance, you can see the instance. I mean, this status is refreshed every minute. So we need to wait for a little while for this to be picked up. Okay, hopefully you're ready to run. And if I do docker ps again, you can see the Redis container is brought back. So to remove this application, you can do just kubectl delete instance, box instance. So in this case, Symfony will call the underlying toolchain, which is Docker in this case, to remove the container from the target. And if I do docker ps again, you can see the container has been removed from the system.